What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Off the Mat, another special impromptu episode. I hope you guys are having a great Saturday morning. We have some breaking news here. We have another round of WWE releases taking place as we speak. At the current moment, I have been able to vet this and with two different news sources. And as of right now, WWE has come to terms with the release of Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston from the New Day, as well as Jeff Cobb from the MFTs, and as well as Tonga Loa from the MFTs. So we're seeing departures from the bloodline, the Owani family here. Not really sure what's going on. I thought for sure that after last Black Friday, all WWE releases had effectively stopped and been done. That does not seem to be the case, as we have some new releases that are coming in now. This news has been coming in fast and furious over the last 30 minutes. We have just a few names here. I don't know if we're going to continue to see more releases throughout the day or not. I do know that there was speculation that there would be more releases coming and that these releases were going to be developmental talent, people from Evolve, people from potentially NXT, because NXT other than Andre Chase and Chen didn't really get too hit very hard with that first round of cuts. It seemed like they completely deleted the SmackDown roster for the most part, made a couple call-ups on SmackDown. You have Ricky Saints on SmackDown. You have Blake Monroe coming. You have Fatal Influence now on SmackDown as well. So we're going to see if we'll see more on SmackDown, but some big players in the tag team division. It just feels like WWE is effectively wiping out, cleaning house in their tag team division. I don't know why. We have two sets of tag team titles that need to be defended that have not been defended yet. In a long time. We have tag team belts on to just random throw-ins in R-Truth and Damian Priest, who were all for all intents and purposes not a tag team, but you have tag teams like the New Day, like Fraxium, like Motor City Machine Guns that you're just not using. The Creed Brothers, American Made, the Viking Raiders or War Raiders or whatever you want to call them now, and Otis Tozawa. You have all these tag teams that you don't want to use, but effectively you just killed your tag team division across Raw and SmackDown. And now you release two major players in the likes of Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods. I don't know. This is crazy, man. What's going on with this company? Well, it's budget cuts. TKO is coming down, handed down to old Trips and Nick Khan, saying, look, we need to make this dollar amount. You need to meet this dollar amount. And they're cutting talent. They're trimming the fat. We're getting to the point where SmackDown is going back to 2 hours. It's no longer going to be a 3-hour show. So they have a bunch of rosters or talents on their rosters sitting in the back that they're not using. So they're going to go ahead and remove them. Who's in the tag division? It's going to be non-existent. Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, there isn't really anyone. They're just making up tag teams. You have the Bella Twins, but Nikki Bella's hurt. So they threw Paige with Brie. You just threw together Charlotte and Alexa. You're kind of threw together Kiana James and Julia. You kind of threw together Lash Legend and Nia Jax, which they work together as a tag team, I guess. You were for a while throwing together Io and Rhea. I have a feeling you're going to throw together Roxanne and Raquel. So you're not really having established tag teams anymore. Now you're just kind of throwing shit at the wall, throwing things together, and you're giving your actual established tag teams the boot. So we're still just seeing what other names come in here, but I'm a little surprised by the fact that Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods. Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods is a interesting situation because it sounds like theirs were more mutually agreed upon releases. Like maybe they asked WWE for the release and WWE is like, cool, maybe their contracts were coming up, so WWE is letting them walk. That's kind of a new one here. So Fightful Select and Corey Hayes from Body Slam have learned that The pair is leaving the company. Fightful Select was told that they mutually decided to part ways. WWE has yet to publicly address the reports, though the profiles of Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods have both been moved to the alumni section of WWE.com, which pretty much solidifies that they are gone from the company. Kofi, man, who remembers Kofi Mania? Kofi Mania was a crazy time in WWE. So, um, we've been seeing more chatter about WWE trimming the roster again. Like I said before, this isn't new information. This is something that happens every year. Now, we're usually used to just a drastic run of cuts and then maybe a few sprinkled out here and there. We're not used to so many big names being cut and released like this. Um, Smack Talker Skywalker says, I'm surprised by the New Day. Kofi and Woods been in WWE since I was in the middle school. That's how long I've been watching these guys. Thought they would be WWE lifers. Yeah, absolutely. But the problem is with that is like you have the up and coming of TNA again, the reemergence, I'll call it, of TNA. You have AEW out there offering good money and contracts for wrestlers to go to. You have the independent scene is absolutely on fire right now. You have places like GCW, House of Glory, just to name a few. The what is it? ICP promotion, the Gigolo Wrestling or whatever that Vince Russo runs. So there's a lot of opportunities for these guys on the independent scene. And if you notice, they all pretty much still ride their WWE coattails because Dakota Kai is out there as Charlie, aka formerly known as Dakota Kai in her name. So I'm assuming you're going to get that same thing with Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods. And really, they've kind of done everything in the tag team division. How many more times could you just stack tag team titles when you're Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods? And Woods never really got that big push. You know, he got the King of the Ring he always wanted, but he never really got like that big singles title. Kofi got that big push to his world championship, which he got squashed in 5 seconds by Brock Lesnar to lose it. And you haven't really seen him do much. They've kind of walked around the backstage in the last couple of months in mourning. They tried to put him with Grayson Waller. That didn't work out. Big E getting hurt and then them turning on Big E. They tried to turn him heel. But the New Day was kind of the freshest thing that WWE had. They always had this way of connecting with the crowd and reinventing themselves, from bootios to the pancake throwing to now kicking Big E out, and whatever they were doing, honestly, in their heel run was good stuff. But it's just sad to see all these names go. The perplexing one is really, to me, Jeff Cobb, because this one kind of feels different. It kind of feels like WWE just didn't know what they had with Jeff Cobb, because Jeff Cobb is a monster talent. If you look at him on the indies, I mean, he's an Olympic level athlete. He's got legit credibility. He can go in the ring with anyone. And how does WWE fumble that? I don't know, but we're seeing it. How do you fumble that? You put him with Solo Sikoa. You throw him just nilly-willy in this bloodline, this makeshift bloodline that you're making. And we see it on Raw. WWE is out of ideas. This bloodline, it's been 2 weeks since WrestleMania, and this new bloodline is already exhausting. It's tired. It's done. It's over. Like, nobody cares. Can you seriously sit here, chat, and tell me that you care about what Roman Reigns is doing with this new bloodline and how he spent months since winning the Royal Rumble being attacked by CM Punk and being told, oh, well, you can't do anything on your own without your cousins. And the first thing he does as world champion is get right back with his cousins. And now it seems like this brand split is done. So it seems like you're going to have a few staples on SmackDown, a few staples on Raw, but some guys are going to go back and forth. We're seeing it with Danhausen. We're seeing it with the Usos. We're seeing it with Jacob Fatu. You know, who else is going to come back and forth? It just, I don't know what WWE is doing here. It feels like they're in full on damage control mode in a lot of ways. So I don't know. They like the Tongans. Okay, I get the Tongans, right? We all watched the Tongans debut and get hurt and botch and punch each other in the heads. And so I get, I totally get them releasing Tongaloa, if I'm being honest. His brother Tama Tonga seems to be the one that's getting the more attention in the bloodline storyline with Solo Sikoa. And so I completely get Tongaloa. They just, from the jump have not had a great debut in WWE, showing in WWE, if I'm being brutally honest here. Um, Tonga Loa, JC Mateo, I can see, but wasn't they in the storyline with the Usos and Jacob? They were. They were. They were just on SmackDown last week. They survived the first round of cuts. We're on SmackDown the first week. You have Tonga Loa. There's something going on here with Tonga Loa and Shinsuke Nakamura, but we saw that with Kyrie saying that necessarily WWE doesn't care about their storylines. They're willing to just trim the fat to trim the fat any way they can. Same old crap. Yeah, I agree. Jeff Cobb is better fit in AEW compared to WWE. I mean, I feel like he had good potential in WWE because you have a problem now. WWE has officially created themselves a problem when it comes to the likes of Obafemi, so much so that now we've got an Obafemi open challenge. How many open challenges do we get on Raw, chat? Becky Lynch open challenge for the Women's Intercontinental Championship. You got Obafemi open challenge because they have nobody for him. And so the big bodies that you could throw at Obafemi to actually make good feuds, in my opinion, would be Jeff Cobb, would be Jacob Fatu, Royce Keys. What are you going to do? Call Omos's ass up from AAA and have Omos come fight Obafemi? You've essentially created yourself an Obafemi problem that you can't get yourself out of. And now we got Gunther going to SmackDown to do God knows what and why feud with Cody Rhodes for the WWE Championship. It's like Cody Rhodes, you started 3 feuds for this dude, and you don't know which way you're going to go. You got the feud with CM Punk that was started on the Raw after WrestleMania. You got the feud with Cody Rhodes and Ricky Saints that was started last night. And then all of a sudden now you got Gunther in the mix. So it just feels like they don't even know what they're doing. And they've admitted they don't have a backup plan for Cody Rhodes. So Cody Rhodes is that company face. So you essentially created yourself a problem in a lot of ways moving forward here. So we got Smack Talker Skywalker says, so they keep Tala and Tama destroy Destiny, then I should have been done together. Yeah. I don't know, man. That's interesting. I have questions. Why do you think this is happening? It's not a money issue, I don't think. I think in a lot of ways it is a money issue. They're paying this talent to sit in the back, essentially. Some of these guys are guys that are being used, and I think TKO is trying to cut the fat because there's been rumors for years that TKO was a lot of money in debt, and WWE, that's why ticket prices went up. And I think they're trying to trim the fat. They got to move SmackDown to 2 hours. So they just don't want to pay these high salaries. I think a lot of these guys they brought in for big time money to try and keep them away from AEW or other independent program or promotions, and they're not using them. So they're now trimming the fat. Guys like New Day, I honestly think that with Xavier Woods being injured so much and Kofi, they don't have direction for them. They creatively don't have direction for them. It's essentially comes down to it's a failure of creative. We saw it the first time around. You don't have a clear cut direction on what is even going on with Kyrie Sane, because WWE cuts Kyrie Sane. Then they come out and say, oh, well, it was mutual. Sane wanted to ask for her release. She wanted to go back to Japan. Kyrie came out on Twitter and said, nope, basically for all intents and purposes said, nope, didn't say that. I never quit. And we don't know if she had a planned trip to Japan before that and everything. And WWE just took advantage of that to release her at that point. We don't know, but it just seems like it's more of a creative thing in a lot of ways that creatively Paul Levesque and the creative team at WWE don't know what they're doing. They can't get their heads out of their ass. They're fumbling major tag teams, guys that they should have storylines for. They don't have storylines for, like the Wyatt Six, the MFT. The MFTs was a failed experiment, man. When they canceled the bloodline with Roman Reigns, they should have let them all go their own separate ways and made Tonga Matanga and Tonga Loa a tag team. You could have Tala Tonga stay with Solo Sikoa, which it seems like they're going to do now. And now essentially just broke up the MFT. So I don't know what they're going to do with all of that. But I think it's a lack of creative, them trying to introduce AI. I think it could potentially be fan backlash. I don't really have all the answers. I don't know. I can tell you what I think, and that's what I think is that I think it is, if you look at the books too, Shapiro just came out and saw that he got a hefty raise. So you got to find money to pay him somehow. So release these superstars you're not using, right? And guys that you're old, you got to move out with the old and make way for the new. But some of these guys didn't even get a chance. Like I will firmly stand here and say I don't think JC Mateo even got a chance to get off the ground in WWE because he came in and automatically got put with Solo Sikoa and just kind of got killed. Perhaps WrestleMania didn't make as much money as they told us it did. Possibly. I know it made a lot of good in merch. Danhausen came out looking like a champion there, but yeah, 10,000 less ticket sales than the previous year. But that could be accounted to a lot of things, like doing repeated events in the same year, same city, 2 years in a row. Not a lot of interest in the card. The amount of time it took them to build the card and put the card together. Who knows? If Cobb goes to AEW, don't put him with the Death Riders or Don Callis family, please. I don't see him going to the Don Callis family or the Death Riders. They seem pretty well set. I kind of feel like AEW, he'd be wasted there too. Look how he was used in WWE. Like what are they gonna do? It just seems like AEW doesn't know how to use their big men. Look at Royce Keys. Look at Rusev. Who else can I name that I feel like AEW kind of fumbled when it comes to their big bodied players like this? But yet, you got talent. I'll throw it out there again. You don't want to see anybody lose their job, but you got talent here like the New Day, Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston. You got talent like Jeff Cobb. And you got talent like Tongaloa and Talatonga, but yet you still have people like Otis or Tozawa or Maxine Dupree surviving these cuts. So that pretty much tells me that it's got to be money related or the heft of their contract in some way, shape, or form, because they just signed Aleister Black to a big money contract and then they cut him. From what I've heard, it was a big money 3-year contract and they cut him a year into it. So they don't care. They'll pay him to sit at home, but it just removes that money from the books. Wait, more releases. Who's been released so far? As of this morning, of 30 minutes ago, let me refresh to see if there's any other news. But yeah, as of this morning, we have Tongaloa has been released. JC Mateo or Jeff Cobb from the MFTs has been released, and they are agreeing to mutually part ways with Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods. So that makes me think that Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston might have asked for their release or their contract is up and WWE said, hey, we're not going to re-sign you. We're going to let you walk. Kofi's getting up there in age. Xavier has been injured quite a bit lately, which sucks because I love Woods. I think Woods is a great talent. I love Kofi. I was right there for Kofi Mania. I love seeing how Kofi performed. But if you look at even the Royal Rumble, like the Royal Rumble was Kofi's bread and butter, man. Like he was the guy who did all the crazy things in the Rumble and people watched the Rumble for that. So he wasn't even, I don't even think he was in the Royal Rumble this year. But maybe I'm wrong. Let me know if I'm wrong, chat, but I don't think Kofi was even in the Royal Rumble in Saudi Arabia this year. And now they have Javon Evans, so they have that new shiny high-flying toy that they can use, and they don't have to rely on Kofi anymore. Where's Randy? That's a great question. It seems like they gave him that official heel turn after the Pat McAfee debacle at WrestleMania. I feel like there was a lot of legitimacy in that back injury, and they said he was working injured leading up to WrestleMania. So I think that's where Randy is he's at home rehabbing an injury. The New Day, JC Mateo. Okay, you're just letting them know who was released. New Day blows. Come on, man. New Day was an amazing talent for a long time. Like Bot, who got released today. We just find that. Like Kofi Kingston and Grayson Waller. Grayson Waller's still there. Unfortunately, I don't know how Grayson Waller's still there. I see new wrestling company in the works happening soon. More attitude wrestling, more diva-like wrestling. Everyone should win every week. New Day belongs to jail. Okay. These NXT call-ups haven't been killing it. NXT, I watched NXT this past week and didn't recognize anyone except for the usual people. A lot of new faces. Well, yeah, and to your point there, one of the guys coming over from England, what was it, Coos? The announcers didn't even know who he was, and they were like, oh, who is this? Is it a fan? It was just like, what are we doing? And then watching SmackDown last night, like, You're telling me that you couldn't find time for Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods on SmackDown. You couldn't find time for JC Mateo to get out from the MFTs, move away, actually put him like against Royce Keys, make a real feud with this monster talent you have. But you can give me time for a funeral for a gingerbread man costume. Like, we're really doing this. We're really continuing on this gingerbread man crap. You should completely move away from that. I'm fine with Crash Out Sammy. I love Crash Out Sammy. I think Crash Out Sammy was great. Give us the match we all want to see at Backlash. We want to see Sami Zayn versus the water bottle, right? We don't want to see Sami Zayn versus Trick Williams again. Actually, I'm okay with Sami Zayn versus Trick Williams again. I think it's going to be a fantastic match, but we all know the outcome of it. Everything on Backlash is so predictable, except for potentially who's Danhausen's partner going to be. And I think Danhausen's partner is even predictable. It's going to be CM Punk, right? That's how we're going to get CM Punk to SmackDown. Is you're going to have CM Punk team with Danhausen to take on the Miz and his name for God damn it, Kit Wilson. His name was escaping me for a minute. Or that's what you expect, but WWE being WWE, I wouldn't be surprised if it turned out to be R-Truth as Danhausen's a partner for that tag team match. Solo Sikoa belongs in jail. I love Liv Morgan. Okay, why does Solo Sikoa belong in jail? Ginger Man straight from 2019. You know, it's sad. It's sad that we're getting all these releases again, and I like the New Day a lot. You know, you had I don't know. You're just telling me that WWE couldn't even consider repackaging the New Day, one of the most successful factions in modern WWE history. They were a merch machine, locker room leaders, fan favorites, champions, and this is where we're at now with WWE. If WWE breaks them up and puts them on a solo run, imagine what they could have done with them. And now you're gonna just let them walk, go to AEW, and I really feel like maybe WWE feels like they're washed up. WWE feels like they got everything they could out of them. WWE feels like they have nothing left to offer. But I disagree. I think there's so much more. You could go on a redemption story arc with Kofi. Let Kofi get that redemption for that squash from Brock Lesnar. You know, I think he tweeted out after Obafemi beat Brock Lesnar and said redemption. So, you know, let Kofi cook a little bit, man. Give Kofi a little something to work with here. And Xavier Woods is a great talent, but you never gave him the time. You never put him out there. You never gave him more to do. Bring back Vince McMahon? Absolutely not. You see people riot since they released the New Day. What what are you gonna riot about? You know what's the riot about? You have people trying to riot about Kyrie saying, how well is that working out for you? WWE just turns the audio down so you can't hear the fans complaining online or in the arena about it. They can ignore your complaints online. You know, Tonga Loa's final WWE moments was on SmackDown last week when he botched Jacob Fatu, putting him through a table. Like the easiest spot in WWE, someone's going to put you through a table. You just lay there and take it, right? Nope. Tonga Loa couldn't do that. He had to slide all over the place and slide off the table and get himself back up and slide off again. I mean, I get it. The dude couldn't even, deliver an uppercut without punching his own teammate in the head. It baffles me, man. Um, didn't they just tease Javon Evans with New Day? Why release him? Yeah, they've been teasing Javon Evans trying to get in a New Day for a while. Honestly, some of these releases could have went and spent more time with AAA, NXT, or TNA and given them something to do. Didn't have to release them. Yeah, but unfortunately, they are on WWE's books. They're not on WWE or on AAA's books. So cross promoting talent like that, where it's nice, WWE and TKO are still having to pay them. So why wouldn't you just release them and then potentially look? I'll be 100% honest with you. I would not be surprised to see some of these guys come back on maybe a different style of contract, a lesser contract for lesser money, lesser dates, maybe more of like a Legends contract. Kofi will probably be in the Hall of Fame sooner rather than later. But at this time, why not let him go out and try your hand at the Indies? Try your hand we already know that the New Day are merch machines, and you have Xavier Woods and Kofi go back on the indie scene and try and heat it up again. Woods is going to go to AEW. I think they're both going to AEW, honestly, because they both have friends in AEW. They have the Young Bucks, they have Kenny Omega. He's going to go back to Austin Creed and he's going to go to AEW and work in AEW. You're going to get Young Bucks versus Xavier Woods, or aka Austin Creed. You're going to get Kenny Omega versus Xavier Woods. They're going to go to AEW. I'm sure if they're mutually parting ways, who knows if they're even going to have that 90-day compete clause. I'm sure they will, but it just depends on if WWE straight out releases them and lets them walk, see how much they feel about, or how much, they feel they have left in the tank. But that's where I see them going. Jeff Cobb will probably end up in AEW as well, but I could see him going to TNA. I could see him going to maybe working some indie dates in House of Glory. I could see him potentially going to GCW for a little bit, making that rounds on the indies, or maybe even going back to Japan. He could very well go back to New Japan as well. But I 100% expect Kofi and Xavier Woods, at least Woods, to end up in AEW, if I'm being 100% honest here. But yeah, just to kind of refresh, we got another round of WWE cuts, not quite as deep as last Friday's, but we do have a couple of good names cut in JC Mateo, who, like I said, never really got a chance. Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods, they're saying they mutually agreed to part ways, and JC Mateo. So I don't know how many more cuts are going to be. I'm fearful that this might be like last week where we got a couple cuts and a little bit of time and then more cuts announced and we played that game. And I can't remember who said it earlier, but to their point, the NXT call-ups have on Raw felt good. So here's the thing. And I said it my last time when we talked about these releases. Sol Ruka. WWE came in on Monday Night Raw and announced a Intercontinental Championship Open Challenge for Becky Lynch because they have no direction for Becky Lynch. Why even put the title back on Becky Lynch at that point? They should have had AJ Lee. I know AJ Lee wanted to end her run and wanted to end it at WrestleMania. I get that, but you could have done a little bit something more with that and had Sol Ruka make her debut in that aspect. History on your side. WWE likes to play that history card. You could have had had the open challenge, at the Raw after WrestleMania. You have AJ retain and come out and be like, okay, I beat Becky. I want this title to be prestigious. I want to reestablish this title. I want to have this title be a fighting champions title. I'll take on all comers. Anybody in the back, woman enough to step up to me and come attack me or, face me for the Intercontinental Championship. And then you have Sol Ruka debut, have Sol Ruka beat her, put the title on Sol Ruka. You could have done that on Monday with the open challenge. Same thing. You had Sol Ruka debut, then you kept her off TV for a week, probably because she was in concussion protocol from the terrible table spot she took the next night on NXT from Zarya. And then you got WWE trying to use all this AI slop for vignettes, now effectively taking away the whole soul and heart of a professional wrestler in the promo. You're using AI to cut their promos now and effectively neutering the pro wrestler and everything they do well in promos. I don't get it. I don't get what WWE is doing right now. It really feels like if AEW can come together, make cohesive stories, and they already got great professional wrestlers. They got great professional wrestling, too much professional wrestling at time. I don't need a pay-per-view with like 16 matches on it. But if you could get some cohesive feuds, some cohesive storylines, you had MJF as your world champion. MJF was the most thing going for AEW, the hottest thing in AEW. Then you have him lose to Darby Allin, which I love Darby Allin. But I don't think that you should have pulled that trigger at this time, but they did. You have them lose to Darby Allin, and then you have essentially MJF fighting for the TNT championship. So you have MJF, your hottest star, going from your world title scene to now your mid card title scene. That doesn't really make sense to me. But I'm not a booker, I'm not a promoter, I'm just a talking asshole on the internet, right? Um, so you don't like Soul Ruka? Um, Smack Talker Skywalker says, not gonna lie, anticipated match New Day versus Young Bucks is gonna be fire. That match been in the making since 2016. Absolutely. It's a no-brainer, right? It pretty much writes itself. If you're Tony Khan, you're licking your lips and you're drooling right now, just the thought of that. You're trying to reach out to the young or to Xavier Woods and Kofi and be like, well, how long is that no compete? What's your situation? Are you guys being released? Do you have a no compete? Is your contract being what are we doing? What do we got going on here? You know, and see what they're all about. See what's gonna happen. I still remember the announcers. Oh my God, it's Jeff Cobb. It was over then. Yeah, and then they changed his name to JC Mateo. But they could have done so many great things with him. I wouldn't be surprised if Zarya from NXT to be released. Just saying, why would you release Zarya? They've got big things for her. I think they're banking on her. I think Zarya is going to be their next big thing. She's finally going to get that push. If I'll give you a hot take here, if anyone in NXT right now, with the way the releases are going, and again, I don't want anyone to lose their job. I don't want to see anyone get released, but my hot take on this right now would be the way things are going. I wouldn't be surprised if Jada Parker got released. She's injured. She's on TV one week. She's off TV the next. They're not really moving or progressing her character along very well. They're kind of putting her in pointless feuds. Like your biggest star in Blake Monroe just got done feuding with the women's North American champion Tatum Paxley. So you don't even have Jada Parker in any kind of meaningful feud right now or role. Like they're just kind of throwing her all over the place. She's like a Swiss Army knife. They're just kind of using her wherever they can. So I wouldn't see them releasing Zarya, but I wouldn't be surprised if the way things have been recently, how people are in big storylines and then gone, like Kyrie Sane or Jeff Cobb and Tongaloa. I wouldn't be surprised if Jada Parker got walking papers. Tongaloa gone too. Yep, Tongaloa is gone too, which is like I said, you could tell who they value more. That Tama Tonga is definitely the more favored of the two. Saudi Arabia didn't renew live golf next year. Well, Saudi Arabia wouldn't renew WWE contracts. Saudi Arabia running out of money. No, they're good, man. They can just print money and they're renewing everything with WWE. A lot of WWE go for lower titles when they have been world champion, WWE champion before. It doesn't make sense. You're right. I mean, you got to kind of give them stuff to do. And you got to look, I don't know if this is a lot of your guys' first time seeing me. Welcome. My name's Matt. We do a show called Off the Mat every Thursday night where we talk about and run down the weekly professional wrestling news. We give you our honest takes. We're damn good at what we do. We call a lot of what WWE is doing and we call them out on their BS. We're not these fake overreactors. We give you real, honest thoughts and opinions on the product, what they should do. And we don't just sit there and criticize. If we criticize, we try to also throw out potential things that we would like to see changed and like to see them do. And, you know, the way things are right now, they should really have less focus on the World Heavyweight Championship and the WWE title. It should kind of go back to the way it was a little bit in the Ruthless Aggression era, or even the Attitude era for a lot of time, where there wasn't so much focus on the World Championships. The World Championship was kind of like a hot potato. Anybody could go for it. Anybody could challenge for it. There wasn't a ceiling for these guys. And the focus was more on the mid-card titles. Like Austin and Rock, the majority of their feud was centered around the Intercontinental Championship. Later on, it was for the WWE Championship. Yes, but back in the Attitude era, the core of the Attitude era was a lot of your mid-card titles. So even in the Ruthless Aggression era when they didn't have a lot of household names. It was kind of just John Cena, Batista, and Randy Orton kind of carrying things. Brock Lesnar went to UFC. So they kind of had a hot potato for the world champion. Anybody could be world champion. And so they focused more on mid-card titles. And I kind of think that's what they should get back to is they shouldn't have people hold on to the WWE titles for so long. You shouldn't have year-long runs. Roman Reigns should not have this title to um Roman Reigns should not have this title till WrestleMania next year. They should hot potato it. And especially Cody. Like, where do you go with Cody? I don't know. Hot potato it, man. Don't have one guy holding the title for years. Put a little bit more focus on the mid card titles and build new stars. Build new stars. Who's gone now? Again, I'll just run down the list. As of right now, JC Mateo is gone. Tonga Loa is gone. And the New Day's Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods are gone. It sounds like Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods is also going to be, or is like on a mutual thing. Gavin O'Shea has revealed that his time with WWE has come to an end after 25 years. In a post on LinkedIn, O'Shea confirmed that he has lost his job with the company. He has most recently served as WWE's director of TV productions and role he has held since 2020. So it feels like WWE might be going through an entire overhaul here. They're firing TV production people. You kind of got starting to see new shots on SmackDown a little bit. So it feels like they might be trying to go for a full creative overhaul here. And they're going to do that by trimming the fat and see where things land at that. Tatum Paxley, I get Wednesday Adam vibes. Absolutely. But she's so good at what she does. WWE sucks. Let's see. The one good thing about the releases is they can go other promotions to be viable instead of wasted. Absolutely. Look at what Matt Cardona did. Look at what Cody Rhodes did when he originally got released. Look at what people like Shotzi Blackheart are doing out there. Look at Charlie, aka Dakota Kai. Look at who else? Who else am I not thinking of that's out there? You know, NXT has some good talent that just debuted. But there's plenty of work right now. We're kind of in a lot of ways essentially in a professional wrestling renaissance when it comes to the indie circuit because a lot of these indie promotions are out there and these people can go make more money on the indies. And what we were talking about on Thursday is it's hard for a lot of these guys because they're kind of coddled. Like if you really look at it, yeah, Seth Rollins cut his teeth as Tyler Black on the indies and Ring of Honor and came to WWE, but he came up in the WWE system. Roman Reigns is very much a product of the WWE system. A lot of these guys these newcomers are going to be a product of the WWE system, and they're not going to survive when it comes to the indies. If you look at like Bully Ray or Bubba Ray made some comments about the first round of WWE releases, and he's a coach for LFG saying that he's got no advice for them. They should have tried harder, not put their foot on the table, pay better attention, whatever. But I asked the question of my co-host on Thursday is, do you think that in today's landscape or today's WWE that Bully Ray would have even made it in WWE? Would the Dudley Boys be what they are today if they were coming up today versus in the 90s? The WWE style is just different. And when you're coming up in that WWE homegrown system, it doesn't necessarily transition well to the indies because you got to make sure that you can wrestle in different styles and do different things and be like clay, moldable, adaptable. And a lot of these talent in NXT right now or Evolve and even on the main roster might not be able to do that because they came up in the WWE system. WWE's toast. This means more clearance WWE figures at Walmart and Target. That's right. I mean, if you want a Tama toy, get on there. So I'm sure they're gonna go on big discount at Walmart. Not actually, Roman Reigns was on the Indies. Yeah, but he wasn't Roman Reigns. That's what I'm saying is that he got his name in WWE. He came to the Performance Center. He was created in WWE. He was pretty much brought up in that first wave of NXT, the NXT system when they were still trying to perfect it. So I don't think, I mean, now being um being the big dog or being the tribal chief, yeah, I think he would draw on the indies on name alone, but does that gimmick carry outside of WWE? I don't know. Still bummed about Aleister Black's release. Not like they see people lose the job, but it is what it is at the end of the day. Aleister Black is an interesting one, right? I don't. It's interesting that all that stuff is coming out about him and how he's got basically no welcome in AEW, or it's just all crazy. Kind of these releases, and I feel really bad for Zelina Vega because it seems like professional wrestling, at least WWE, is getting away from that small framed female wrestler because you got kind of like Alexa Bliss, and that's why Nikki Cross got really, Nikki Cross getting released. It just feels like they're kind of getting away from these smaller, shorter wrestlers, and that time has kind of passed. So I don't know what Selena's going to do. I hope she finds a landing spot, and wherever she goes, it's going to be with Aleister Black. Seth is this generation's Macho Man. He's always the bridesmaid, never the bride. Seth will never be the face of the company like Roman Reigns, Cena, or even Cody. That's true, but he does great work in just like Macho Man did in that role. Roman was mostly FCW, which was a WWE feeding system. Yep. Uh, wait, I just popped up on my YouTube homepage. Did I just see this popped up? Yeah, it's just because WWE releases, man. More WWE releases hit the airwaves today, big ones. New Day, Tama Tonga, and JC Mateo have all been cut from WWE, which again, I'm not I'm not surprised by Tama Tonga. I mean Tongaloa, not Tama Tonga. Tongaloa. I get those two mixed up. They could have separated them so much better, but Tongaloa has been released, not Tama Tonga, Tongaloa and JC Mateo. None of the MTs stood beside Tama, which is unfortunate because all of them were good in the indies. Yeah. Was probably had to get out of there now that Mary and his wife probably wants to have Paige back. Oh yeah. Yeah. Okay. Woods. Yeah. Woods probably had to get out of there now that he's married, and his wife probably wasn't happy that Paige is back, and Kofi is a lifelong, and that would be go to his boy. Yeah, they're gonna go to AEW, man. They're 100% going to AEW. New Day versus Young Bucks. Yep, incoming. Cobb needs to go to AEW. Why? I think AEW would just waste him. Look, they, like I said a few minutes ago, they don't seem to use that big-bodied wrestler very well. Look at Royce Keys. Look at Rusev. Look at kind of what they're doing with Bobby Lashley a little bit. Like, yeah, he's in the Hurt Syndicate, which is essentially just a rinse and repeat of what he was in WWE. So it's yeah, I don't have a lot of faith that JC Mateo or Jeff Cobb would do well in AEW as well. I hope I'm wrong, but I think he should go back to the likes of a lot a lot of ways too. Professional wrestling is starting to get away from the big bodied, or I call them like the Vince McMahon type, where Vince McMahon like those big buff bodybuilders. And I think Cody Rhodes even alluded to it in a podcast that WWE doesn't have that like big buff bodybuilder type guy anymore. And that they're kind of going down for a more like slim down main prototypical frame, like your Seth Rollins, like your Gunthers, like your Roman Reigns, like CM Punk. Like they're not, you don't have that like completely jacked guy anymore, like Brock Lesnar when he hit the scene, or like Ryback, or you do an Obafemi, but he's treated as kind of like a one-off now. And Jeff Cobb is gone, and Royce Keys is kind of borderline that, but you don't have that like muscle head like you used to in the WWE back in the day under Vince McMahon. There's good and bad wrestling releases are part of the bad, and it sucks to see people lose their jobs. Yeah, but there's landing potential for everyone. Jeff Cobb needs to go to Noah. He would fit in so much better there than he did in New Japan. Yeah, I could see that. If WWE is an equal opportunity company, there's at least half a dozen more women they need to release. Whew. You guys are coming for them women, huh? I wouldn't be surprised if Tama Tonga is released next. What about CM Punk versus Cody Rhodes for the belt? What happened to that feud? That feud is going to take place in probably Saudi Arabia at WrestleMania 42. I don't think they're in any hurry to pull the trigger on Cody Rhodes, CM Punk at this point. Like I said, Cody Rhodes is in an interesting predicament because they have like 4 different feuds for Cody Rhodes right now for that WWE title. You have, CM Punk making claim to it on Raw after WrestleMania. You had Ricky Starks making claim to it last night. You had Gunther making claim to it last night. So it's like 3 storylines right now for Cody Rhodes, and CM Punk and Jacob Fatu is in the mix with Roman Reigns, and they're kind of regurgitating the bloodline thing, which is already boring. So it's just really no big stories going on. Like I kind of feel like WWE is going to take the rebuild strategy, and they're going to try and bring in new production people to get new camera shots to up their production. They're going to bring in new talent at a cheaper price. They're going to do NXT call-ups. I guess they just signed Roman Reigns to a new 3-year deal after WrestleMania that is still a part-time deal, but with more dates. So they got to pay him. And who knows what's going on with Brock Lesnar. Yeah, it's just some of these guys just weren't cutting it, and it sucks, but it's a complete breakdown or failure on Triple H and the WWE creative team. You have to get old heads out of here like Michael Hayes and Bruce Pritchard and move in new guys with fresh ideas. And you had Nick Khan announcing that Triple H signed a new 3-year deal, but let's be honest with them, man. From what I'm hearing and rumblings around the IWC and the professional landscaping is that, you know, um, TKO severance is 3 months. So you don't think that they would eat 3 months worth of Triple H's pay to get rid of him? And I really think that they're holding on right now, signing Nick Khan's boy, Triple H, to another deal right now till The Rock is ready to move from Hollywood back into the professional wrestling space, and him and Brian Gerwitz can come over there, and Rock can put Gerwitz in as the head of creative, and they start doing their own thing. And Triple H is outed. He's featured endeavored. See you later. He's released as well. I When is that going to happen? I don't know. People said Triple H wouldn't make it 8 more months. Well, he just signed a new deal. Who knows what's going to happen there? But I think if The Rock were to come tomorrow to TKO and be like, "Hey, listen to Ari Shafir and Ari Emanuel, or Ari Emanuel and Shafir," I'm getting their names mixed up now, and be like, "Hey, I'm ready. I'm ready to come to professional wrestling. Things are slowing down for me in Hollywood. I got some time. Let's do this." And they would send Triple H packing in a heartbeat, and The Rock would put Gerwitz in charge of head of creative, and away they would go. So Big E told them to release New Day. I don't think that's the case. They're not ready for Bailey BBL. Yeah. Um, Mysterio, Bailey, Miz, Gabe, and Chad Gable should be next. They all have contracts ending soon, and TKO needs room for fresh talent. The Miz is going to be that go-between guy, man. The Miz is clearly that dude who WWE is testing the new talent against. So that's why you kind of have Danhausen feuding against him now. Carmelo Hayes was working with the Miz. Miz is kind of like that go-between, that measuring stick for talent to test them out. So I don't see the Miz going anywhere for a while because he's kind of a WWE guy. The Miz is a yes man. The Miz will do whatever he's asked, and he's a great talent for it. So why get rid of the Miz? Why not keep the Miz, man? The Miz is 100% a company guy, and he's going to do whatever WWE and TKO need him to do. So why get rid of him? Everyone acts like the 4 horsewomen are the best women wrestlers. They're not. It's just the WWE machine. The best ladies are in Japan, always have been. Stardom, Marigold are vastly better. I mean, Look at Mercedes Moné, man. She was very much a product of the WWE system in a lot of ways too, and she's killing in the indies. I think if Bayley were to get released, she would demand a lot of attention, and Bayley deserves better than she's getting in WWE right now. Um, Naomi went to TNA and absolutely killed it, and then came back and finally got a push in WWE. And it stinks that her run was cut short, but same time blessing because you know parenthood is an absolute blessing. So I don't know. I think that a lot of these people would benefit on the indie scene or still draw money regardless, as far as Charlotte Flair would too, as far as the horsewomen go. So, um, Rock and Gerwitz would be worse. You think so? I don't know. It, it just this whole creative thing, man. It's a creative mess. Biggie is laughing now. Maybe Miz could be the replacement for Triple H when his new contract runs out. No, I don't see the Miz as like creative in that way. I think the Miz, at least to me, the Miz kind of comes off more as he is good on the mic, yes, but he comes off more as like WWE comes and says, okay, we got this idea. We need you to do this, this, and this. And he says, all right, cool. I don't think the Miz is like out here pitching ideas. I could be wrong. I don't know the backstage politics of it all, but I don't think the Miz is out here pitching ideas and things like that. I think it's very much so that the Miz is just a company yes man. He makes the best with what he's given and does what he can to the best of his ability, and he runs with it, just much like you saw with what he's doing for Danhausen right now. He's really helping to get Danhausen over dramatically, and he's kind of doing a 2 for 1. I know Kit Wilson was kind of over with his theme song. He's got one of the best entrance songs in the business, but he was kind of getting a little bit stale with his toxic masculinity shtick. And so WWE put him with The Miz, and basically The Miz is being his mentor now, and it's working. He's getting over again, and he's simultaneously trying to get over Kit Wilson and Danhausen at the same time. By the way, you're awesome, bro. Love the Clerks autograph poster. That's so awesome. Thanks, man. I absolutely love Clerks. I love everything Kevin Smith. Um, I have Clerks 2 and 3 over here, Mallrats over here, Dogma over there. But yeah, all autograph stuff. Love Kevin Smith. Appreciate you, man. Thanks for checking us out. Hope you hit us with a like and a follow and a subscribe. I appreciate that too. Um, WWE has his hands tied with TKO. He does, yes, because he can go through years of creative planned out, and if at the drop of the hat TKO goes, nope, we don't like that. We want like the word going around that they got rid of the Wyatt Six because WWE doesn't like or someone in TKO doesn't like the dark supernatural type superstar, so they got rid of them. Things like that. Triple H can have years of storylines ready to go, and TKO can drop in at the drop of a dime and be like, nope, get that shit out of here. We don't want that shit. Uh, we need you to change this storyline up, much like they did with The Rock, just inserting himself in the championship match between Cody and Roman, and the WWE fans pushing back on that, and Cody pushing back about that. And they did last year with The Rock deciding to take his ball and go home. So they inserted Travis Scott in a spot he absolutely did not belong in. And then we saw him do this year too, where it was supposed to be Aleister Black talking to Randy Orton and bringing Randy Orton back to that Viper esque. So TKO can just show up at the drop of a hat and change years and months of creative and not even give two little shits about it, you know? That's just the nature of the beast, I guess. New Day release, yes. Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods mutually agreed to part ways with WWE this morning, as well as WWE has released JC Mateo and Tongaloa and um, Gavin O'Shea, who is one of their directors of TV production since 2020. So those are the newest releases there. Um, but I don't know. I feel like them admitting they're bleeding into AI slop says a lot about the current direction of the programming of the um, creative. Um, yeah, I don't know, man. Just like I look, Ricky Saints had a terrible debut on the main roster last night, and he had a great send off in NXT. He was great in NXT. He had a great promo. He thanked everyone in the production, did great things in NXT, but he had a terrible debut on SmackDown last night. He was fumbling his promo, much like I'm fumbling my words now. Uh, he the crowd were booing him. It just didn't really get over. It seemed like nobody cared. And I don't think that's Ricky's fault because Ricky is a talent. Ricky got over in AEW and Ricky got over in NXT. I think it's just 100% a creative thing. He didn't get a good promo. He didn't get a good push. You know, they have to play more into his relationship with Cody to really draw that out. No shade on Paige's video being leaked. I know it's not her fault, or however, what she did to the NXT title was a disgrace to everything that we love, and she shouldn't have come back. I think people deserve a second chance, man. And it's like you said, she was young. She was like 19, early 20s. You grow, you learn, you make mistakes. That's what growing up is about. And you deserve a second chance to come back and try and right your wrong. She had a substance abuse problem. She was in terrible relationships. She got involved with the wrong people. And now she's kind of come back from that. And she had a good stint in AEW. So I'm excited to see what she can do in WWE again. Although I do feel like her setup feels a little bit slow. When you're watching her on SmackDown last night, her setup from moves feels a little bit slow. She is being very cautious about her neck again when you know how she comes out and she throws down the jacket and it does like the back bend on the ropes. She didn't go as deep as she normally would. A lot of when she towards the end of that match as Nia Jax is on the rope and she was going to go kick Nia Jax's leg out from underneath her. She took a long time to set up that kick. And I don't know if she was just looking for a safe spot to kick Nia so that Nia didn't fall on Brie Bella or fall on Paige and hurt herself. I don't know, but it just feels like she's definitely got a lot of ring rust and her get up isn't quite there yet. Um, but I guess ultimately when it comes to all these releases, the big picture, and this is what people aren't really talking about enough, is that these releases aren't random anymore. Clearly, just feels calculated. Budget reshuffling, new direction, TKO influence, or are they clearing space for something bigger? We don't know. Are they making space for newer talent that are going to be released, or like an MJF or something like that they've had their eyes on? I know there's a couple guys in TNA that they're waiting to poach, and Mike Santana and Leon Slater. So are they making ways for their contracts? Are they just cleaning house to reshuffle, to repackage, and um, give us new shows? Are they clearing house because SmackDown's going to 2 hours, so they don't have enough people to fill that 3 hour time slot? I don't know. I think we're going to find out more in the coming weeks. But right now, this is just the nature of the beast. This isn't a shock. This is what they do every year. We're in this hiring and firing cycle, call ups, releasing old talent that just have no creative direction for. And the New Day is the head scratcher. But I kind of think the New Day is in that boat where they're getting older in their lives and they're kind of coming to the end of their WWE career, and they want to go out there and see what happens in like an AEW and get some of these dream matches that WWE wasn't offering. Kenny Omega is not going to come to WWE as much as we all want him to. The Young Bucks tried to come to WWE, didn't make it, so they're doing well in AEW. So who knows if WWE is like, all right, well, we're just going to release you and go do what you want to do to end out your career. So I didn't mind SmackDown last night. Next week is funeral plans for the Gingerbread Man on SmackDown next week. Ricky Saints did have a terrible debut. I agree. The Gingerbread Man is stupid. You're on a go home show for a pay-per-view for Backlash, which literally you had 3 matches you built this week. The pay-per-view is next week and you built it this week. You gave us 3 matches on Raw, and then you gave us 2 or 3 matches last night. I think 2 matches last night on SmackDown. And now you're gonna do a go home show with a funeral for a gingerbread man. I don't understand what they're doing. Like I said, they're just throwing shit at the wall. So I guess we're gonna get out of here. We haven't had any much more news going on. I just want to jump on here and kind of talk about these releases as they were going down. I'll run down through it one more time. You had Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods released, Tonga Loa released, and JC Mateo released all this morning. Are there going to be more releases to come? I wouldn't be surprised. I expect at least a good crop of NXT and developmental talent to be released in the coming days. Hopefully not. But I don't think a lot of people know who Ricky Saints is. If you're a casual fan, then you're not going to know who he is. That's not on him, but you do because he was in AEW and he was a big name in AEW. But the problem too is that a lot of international people don't get AEW. So a lot of the international fans don't know AEW. Now you're just trolling there. Batman 126 release Rhea Ripley. Come on now. She's the biggest woman in professional wrestling. Somebody would gobble her up big time. But guys, I thank all of you for hanging out in the chat. I got a jet because I got to get my kid to dance class. But if you guys like what I did here today and like what we do here and Off the Mat, please make sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, turn that notification bell on so you know whenever we go live or update a new video. We do this every Thursday night, 9 p.m. Eastern time, right here on this channel for Off the Mat, where we give you the most honest, realist take in professional wrestling. We're not fake reactors. We don't sugarcoat things. And we're not just here to complain. If we have a complaint, we try to pitch a resolution to WWE as well, just to kind of make professional wrestling better. Because what is it? We all love professional wrestling. That's what we're here to talk about. That's what we love watching week in and week out, and we're invested in it. So why just be overly critical? Why not offer solutions as well? And that's what we try to do here. But thank you guys so much for hanging out. Again, just real quick, WWE is released Tonga Loa, JC Mateo, and the New Day's Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods. And if there are more releases, we'll be right back here to talk to you guys about them. I wish them all well in their future endeavors, but I think Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods are going to be just fine, and they're going to be very happy in AEW with Kenny Omega and their friends in the Young Bucks. So that's going to do it for me, guys. Have a great Saturday. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. I hope to see a lot of your beautiful faces right back here next Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern for Off the Mat, where we're going to be going over our WWE Backlash predictions and having all kinds of fun there. TKO doesn't know nothing about wrestling. Hey, man, TKO is all about the budget. They send a word to Triple H and Nick Khan about this is the bottom line. And so this is the number, the dollar number you have to hit, and Triple H and Nick Khan make the cuts. But all right, that's going to do it for me, guys. Have a great Saturday. And if more releases happen, we'll pop back in. Thanks for checking us out. Again, hit that like and subscribe button, and we hope to see you guys back here next Thursday.